Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Well, yesterday after the national championship, we had a pretty legendary recap screen. We went 7-2, but ladies and gentlemen, we kind of turned it around the wrong way yesterday. We go 2-5 as we look at the recap screen here. Martin Green and Buckets go 1 for 2. That's certainly not bad. Tom Casale loses Missouri. I don't know if everybody watched the end of that game. Some really terrible coaching on the Missouri side to lose a 1-point lead in the final seconds. Jeff Hockman loses his play in our SportsLine pick. Doesn't come in. So 7-2 becomes 2-5. How about we rebound? Along with Pogo picks, Liddy, Moshi, Jeff Stenberg, Big Rhodey is in here. And, of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. He's joined by Buckets, Propstarz, Taft Gantt, and Danny Brasco. Wow. What a team we have on a Wednesday, Taft. We haven't seen you in a little bit. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Sia. This just means that golf season is back. We started last week. Now we have 32 more straight weeks of golf, and I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go, too. We did the early wedge yesterday. I encourage everybody to go back and listen to the early wedge. It was one of my favorite episodes. I actually listened back to, which I don't always do, listen back to it yesterday. I found myself laughing throughout the entire episode. So go into your podcast feed or on the Sportsline YouTube channel, catch the early wedge. And we also have a one and done. I'll announce more on that later, and I'll put the link in the chat. It's free, $5,000 on the line. Proppy, how you doing today, buddy?
Sia, what's good? We've got football in parts unknown, a.k.a. the Northwest in late January. Two awesome matchups. I can't wait. I wish Bo Nix was involved, but I still think Denver's live in the game. And then we've got a nice NBA slate today as well, so I'm fired.
All right. Steve Folkert's in here. We got Rick Fun Cannon, Better Days Ahead, Sox Nation. Buckets, how we feeling today? Did you have time to watch Van Wilder last night?
I'm saving it for the airplane. You told me specifically to save it for the airplane, and then you're trying to call me out for some anti-Buckets agenda. No, I'm doing well, Sia. We got more Champions League today. I think we got kind of lucky to go 1-1, considering there were red cards in every game I bet on, and some pretty big upsets such as PSG and Man City losing. But we got more UCL action this afternoon, and I'm excited to be back.
An early red card in soccer, it's just got to be so deflating if you're betting on that team, Buckets.
Especially when you're betting on that team to have multiple goals, and then you watch them get a red and then concede right away. It's like, oh, we just don't care. Cool. That's fun.
Danny Brasco, how you doing? So we have UFC. We're on the doorstep of UFC. Did you come with NFL, UFC? What do we have today?
All UFC 324 for me, Sia. It's been too long. I cannot wait. I gave a couple early look picks that I will reiterate when I get into my picks today. But we got to go UFC. I've been ice cold in NFL. Had a great majority of the first half of the season, but started betting a little bit out of character, trying to chase the losses. Look, we're supposed to be the experts, but I am a human. Sometimes emotions do get the best of me, and you start to, make choices that you regret later on, whether the read was good or the bad beat, what have you. You just got to roll with the punches. Like Proppy often says, you don't bet on the result. And I found myself doing that sometimes. So, just a mea culpa there, and onto UFC we go.
Don't bet on the result is really, really good advice. But Brasco, it's a very long season through the regular season and playoffs. So unless you're Propstarz, you're probably going to have a cold streak here and there. That's just how it works. Buckets, let's talk about some soccer picks to kick things off.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, maybe the picks that you have.
I guess that makes total sense. Yeah, guys, I got two Champions League matches for us this afternoon, and we're starting with one that's going to get me in trouble. I don't care. I'm following my gut and my heart and the stats a little bit. Marseille are hosting Liverpool. I just don't rate Liverpool that highly. I know they're a top 4 team in the Prem. I know they're the reigning champions. I know they're all these things we want to say, but how they've been playing in recent weeks doesn't reflect how good they've been in the past couple years. They have only one win in their last 6 Premier League games. We watched them draw against Burnley, draw against Fulham, draw against Leeds United. They are going to be without Mo Salah for part of this match, at least. He's expected to sub in the second half. Still no Alexander Isak. Hugo Ekitike is coming back from injury, but not going to be full fit. This lineup is just an absolute mess, and they're playing Marseille, who has been one of the highest scoring and most dominant sides, especially when playing at home in Ligue 1. I don't think that Liverpool's going to lose necessarily, but this match just screams a draw to me. One of those matchups where both teams are totally happy picking up a point and going their separate ways. I'm looking at Marseille double chance, priced at -120. Little bit of juice there, but not enough to scare me off. And I think we see a draw. I'm not risk averse enough to take the draw outright. So this double chance gives me kind of a safer way to play the bet that I actually want to play. And for my second bet, we're going to Bayern Munich, my Bavarians taking on and hosting Union Saint-Gilloise out of Belgium. And yesterday, when I gave out Copenhagen, both teams to score, I said Copenhagen have scored in 19 home matches in a row. They got a red card early, and they still scored to make it 20 in a row. Sometimes you just got to back the thing that keeps hitting. Bayern Munich have now seen over 3.5 goals in their last 14 matches across all competitions, and they're coming off a 5-1 beatdown over RB Leipzig. I'm going with over 3.5 goals in this game, but to get the juice down a little bit more, I'm parlaying it with over 0.5 goals in the first half. That brings you from -150 to -130. Just a way to get a little bit of that extra juice off. I think Bayern Munich are going to cover this 3.5 by themselves. I've got them putting up 4, 5, or 6 goals against USG because goal differential matters for Bayern Munich, and USG defensively, just not there. So I'm expecting goals in this game.
All right. We are expecting goals in that one. Let's move along, and I'm sure we're going to have some soccer questions in the chat. So get your soccer questions in, because I know Buckets on days like this, he has to leave a little earlier than the rest of us. So get your soccer picks into the chat, and we'll get them over to Buckets. Propstars, let's go over to the NBA. I know you've got an NFL pick as well, but let's start with the NBA.
Yes, yeah, we've got a pair of NBA props, starting with, I'm going to fade the former MVP Giannis tonight. I'm going to go under 28.5 points for Giannis, facing the Oklahoma City Thunder. Giannis in the month of January is not playing big minutes. His minutes right around the 30-minute mark. He's actually averaging fewer than 30 minutes per game thus far in January. So not playing big minutes. Couple that with a difficult matchup versus Oklahoma City Thunder. They are the best defense in the NBA by a significant margin, I would argue. They also excel in stopping points in transition, where Giannis gets a lot of easy baskets. They also defend the paint very well, where Giannis also scores. So considering the matchup, considering Giannis's recent minute allocation, I think this is a good spot to fade him under 28.5 points. There's also some blowout potential with Oklahoma City anytime they play, but they're also 9.5-point favorites here. Could lead to even fewer minutes for Giannis potentially. So fading him here. And then I'm going to back DeMar DeRozan, going over 17.5 points. I play this at 18.5 points as well. Facing his former team, the Raptors. The Kings are just a dysfunctional nightmare right now, but DeMar DeRozan is by far their most consistent contributor. He's averaging over 35 minutes per game in the month of January, scoring 21 points per game, as well as shooting over 50% from the field. So he plays big minutes in this Kings lineup. He's also good on the second half of a back-to-back, which it is for the Kings as well. Little extra motivation facing his former team, who he's had great scoring results against when he's faced the Raptors. So going to play DeMar DeRozan over 17.5 points. Yes, I played up at 18.5 points, and also fading Giannis under 28.5 points tonight.
All right. And so that's 2 basketball picks, but we do have football on Sunday. Correct me if I'm wrong, Propstars, but you've got a play on Kenneth Walker.
I do indeed. Yeah, we're fading Kenneth Walker in the NFC Championship game under 114 combined rushing and receiving yards. Just a gargantuan line for Kenneth Walker, even without Zachary Charbonnet. I know Kenneth Walker is going to see additional usage, but this number is really big for him. I would also argue the Rams, despite the defense cratering a bit in the second half of the season, are still a very good run defense. So difficult matchup for Kenneth Walker. I don't think necessarily he's going to absorb all of that usage from Zachary Charbonnet. Cam Akers still on the roster, as well as George Hanoi. So I think those are guys that will be activated to the 53-man squad and will be suited up for this game. I do think Kenneth Walker will get some additional looks. But yeah, he just really hasn't had a very good season, despite the team's success for the Seahawks. He's kind of a one-dimensional runner as well. He either gets a big gain or he gets tackled near the line of scrimmage. I also think when he's really the guy, the feature back, I think part of the reason he's been successful is having a guy like Charbonnet, who's able to wear a defense down in the second half, who also offers a contrasting style to Kenneth Walker, does benefit him as well. But from an efficiency standpoint, considering how well the Seahawks did this year, Kenneth Walker really didn't have that great of a season outside of staying healthy, frankly. So yeah, again, big number This is almost Christian McCaffrey territory for Kenneth Walker against a good Rams defense. 12th in EPA allowed per rush, 6th in success rate as well. So I just think this is a big line, good spot to fade this running back. The Rams run defense throughout the playoffs has been good as well. So going to go under on the combination line for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think the way you attack the Rams too, especially with their injuries in the secondary, is probably through the pass and not the run, which of course does implicate the receiving side of Kenneth Walker. But I don't see. I had Kenneth Walker's over rushing last week, but that was a completely different situation than we have here, especially without Zach Charbonnet and an inflated line. Taft and Brasco, I want to bring you in on this game in particular. Taft, I know you have golf picks, but you also have a take and a play on that Denver game. Let me start with you, and I'm just going to isolate the Rams game. It's plus 2.5. I'm kind of hoping this thing ticks up to 3 somewhere. It probably won't because it'll just get immediately bought back down if it does. But with that said, Taft, do you have a take on the Rams plus 2.5 at Seattle?
I do. I've been riding the Seattle team throughout the second half of this season, and then last week laying the points at 7. Now you're going to get it as low as 2.5. It's still a divisional matchup. That's where you see the concern, and I think you see the low number. But the Rams offense hasn't been as hot as of late, and now they're going to go into a hostile Seattle crowd. I think this defense is just playing too well, and I really think that this is a low number for a team that's so hot right now.
Danny, like I said, I do worry about, I have some secondary concerns. I really want to see the injury report actually in the coming days when it comes to the Rams. With that said, I like the Rams plus 2.5. It looks like Mike McClure likes the Rams as well. Any thoughts there?
I don't have a strong opinion on the spread in that game, but I did not realize that Cam Akers was on the Seattle Seahawks roster. Akers' revenge game is now the ridiculous narrative I have in my head. I'm going to sprinkle a TD if I can get 10-1 or better.
Yeah, speaking of revenge games, and Taft, we're going to get to you in a few minutes. I know you've got some golf and some NFL. Jared Stidham used to play for the New England Patriots. Just throwing that out there. I know. I am so intrigued by that game. Mike and I were on HQ yesterday, and Mike was referencing the fact that the line might have over-adjusted. The downgrade from Bo Nix to Jared Stidham, there might be an over-adjustment with the line. So, again, Taft, I know you have a take on that game. We're going to get to that actually after the break, but I do want to remind everybody, BetMGM players will receive a Champions League odds boost. Just make a bet in the Champions League matches today, and if you win, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars only at BetMGM. We've got some soccer questions in the chat too. We got just a lot to cover. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
I love our chat. We're back here on the early edge. Aaron Wiggins over 11.5 points, minus 120, says Big Cheesy. He's got a lot of other bets in the chat. And Moshi's already talking first touchdown scores for Sunday. He says, I took A.J. Barner as my first touchdown score. I love that we're already getting first touchdown scores in the chat. Let's go to a few soccer questions, Buckets, and then we're going to circle back to your picks, Taft. Newcastle versus PSV, both teams to score over 2.5, minus 135, asks Jeff Stewart.
See, if it's good with you, I'm just going to rattle through all the soccer questions and knock them out back to back to back. I love goals in that game. Newcastle playing at St. James Park is a very tough team to beat, but PSV have been one of the most exciting teams in Champions League. And frankly, they just don't give a damn about your defense. They're going to press for 90 minutes no matter what. They scored 6 against Napoli. They scored 4 against Liverpool. This team is an absolute riot to watch, so bet on them goals every time you can. Jeff Stenberg and Bobcat both said Buckets, Benfica, both teams to score against Juventus. What are your thoughts there? I love it. And I've got to rant real quick just for a second because I saw a guy on social media that I'm not going to say. He said that Juventus have not scored against Sia, have not scored against Benfica since 2022 as an argument against this bet. They've played 1 time since 2022. So just be careful because it's very easy to make stats look better than they are. I love both teams to score in this game, though. Benfica desperately need to press because they need the points, and Juventus are a tough team not to score on right now. And then we've got Sox Nation saying, Buckets, what about Galatasaray to win? I'm on Galatasaray double chance right now. I don't hate a sprinkle on draw no bet or the money line as well against Atletico Madrid. Madrid are the better side, but playing at Rams Park is an absolute nightmare. Teams hate traveling to Turkey and playing in Istanbul against this team. Mo Salah, when Liverpool lost to them, said that he couldn't put a thought together. He couldn't speak to any of his teammates. It was 90 minutes of hell. So just remember, this is a tough team to play play. And finally, one more question from Jeff Stenberg. Middlesbrough team total is plus 130. Feels like a gift versus a very inconsistent Stoke squad. Do we put all of our units on this? Maybe not all of them. I'll put one unit on them with you because never mind. Yes, I think it's a good bet. Stoke are very inconsistent. You're right, though. It's kind of that game to where Middlesbrough are going to win this 3-0, or it's going to be 0-0 through the 90th minute. So be careful, but I'll put a unit on it with you.
All right. If we have more soccer questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll try to get to them. Taft, let's get to some golf. We did the early wedge yesterday, me, Patrick, Jason, and Eric Cohen. And a couple of the names that I was surprised didn't come up were Ryan Gerard and Alex Noren. And for the record, Ryan Gerard was the last man out on my card. I had some of the without market, and so some of those odds were reduced, so I didn't feel like putting in an extra guy. But you like in the outright market, you like Ryan Gerard and Alex Noren. Talk to me.
I do see it. I see a lot of value here, and I think that it's important to look at the value at the American Express. Going back to the last 6 years, the average odds of the winner, 150 to 1. That's mind-boggling. That means we got to go to the value. It's the second lowest number on tour, second to the Wyndham Championship. And it's not a coincidence. This golf tournament in California is played across 3 courses in La Quinta Country Club, and then the final round being at Pete Dye Stadium course. So Ryan Gerard at 65 to 1. That's pretty good juice for a guy that finished solo second last week. He shot a 65 in his final round to jump up the leaderboard. You look at his resume. He came from the Korn Ferry Tour 2 years ago. He got his PGA Tour card by winning a Pro-Am. This is a Pro-Am format, one of 2 on the FedEx Cup schedule. I think that matters because you throw in some amateurs into your pairings, and it does mix things up a little bit. And then also one last thing on Ryan Gerard. He won last year on the PGA Tour in California. I think that he could get his second win also in California. Let's go to Alex Noren. The Swede finished 2026 hotter than anybody. This is his first tournament back. He missed the first half of last year due to injury, and he is clearly fully healthy because, man, he was on fire at the end of 2026. He had a couple wins. He had a runner-up finish at the Hero World Challenge in December and a whole lot of top 10s and top 20s. And now we're getting a number at 55 to 1. I like that juice.
All right, so we got 2 golf picks. I want to mention Mike McClure is in the chat, and Mike has been all over the SportsLine Discord, the golf channel specifically, dropping a lot of knowledge. So if you're not already a member of SportsLine, make sure you become a member and you get into that SportsLine Discord, sportsline.com/join. That's how you become a member over at SportsLine. Mike also likes Alex Noren for one and done. Taft. So that's good news for that pick as well. At least that's one of his one and done picks. Talk to me about Scotty Scheffler top 10 parlayed with an NFL team, Taft.
Well, we got the conference championships this weekend. We can't get on here and talk only golf. We got to sprinkle in a little Broncos plus 5.5. This is just too many points for a team that's playing at home. And we on the SportsLine model team don't see this Bo Nix injury costing them a full 5.5 to 7 points, which is what you've seen this swing. We were projecting around a Broncos minus 1.5 line if Bo Nix was the starting quarterback. Now you got Jarrett Stidham, who's kind of been written off, but we mentioned his previous time on the Patriots. You go back to his college days on Auburn. This guy has a pretty good track record. He just hasn't gotten a shot as of late. So we're going to take the points at 5.5, and let's parlay it with Scotty Scheffler top 10 to make it a whole plus 180 parlay. Scotty Scheffler back on the PGA Tour this year. That means that we are in the full swing of golf. I'm so glad that the number 1 player in the world is playing. He finished in 2026. He had 20 starts, and he went on a stretch of 15 straight top 10s. That is absolutely berserk. I would throw him in any parlay, and now we get to do it in the NFL playoffs. It's awesome. Oh, one last thing. I tried to find like a fun correlation with this parlay, just to beat around the fact that I just really like the Broncos and Scheffler this weekend. Both Jarrett Stidham and Scheffler, they're born in 1996 and went to high school in Texas. It might be fate. Just saying.
We're narrative shopping. Brasco, I saw you laughing in the chat. So I don't know if Joe Neuenfeld is in the chat. He's the one that usually plays the looks like game with Taft and pretty much everybody else. But Brasco, there's a couple funny comments. Everybody loves Taft, right?
Of course, man. He said he looks like Taft would ask me if I knew anyone at the party before letting me in. I love that. I'm picturing like back in the day, me and my buddies used to roll squad deep to these New York City house parties, 20 17-year-olds all being like, can we pull up? And they would ask you like, what's Jacob's middle name? You don't really know the owner of that. They would verify if you were a close enough friend to get in the party. Taft was asking me if I knew Jacob's middle name.
You can't roll 27 deep, man. You got to break it up. Like that's the strategy. Buckets, we got more soccer questions, right?
Yeah, we got a couple more soccer questions, and then I got to dip out because I fly out tomorrow morning and don't know where my passport is, which apparently you need to travel.
You're gonna want
so
that.
We'll figure that out. Hopefully we find it. But real quick before I go, a couple more questions. Giuseppe Maricino said, thoughts on Karabag team total over 1.5 at +110? Absolutely love it. Karabag, when playing in Azerbaijan, are a nightmare. No one wants to travel there. Nobody wants to play there. And when they play in front of their home supporters, especially against a leaky Frankfurt squad, they can find 2 at +110. And then we've got Steve Folkert said, Buckets, thoughts on Bayern team total over 2.5, plus Kane anytime goal scorer at -120. I've got a personal thing where I don't bet a goal scorer if they're not plus odds, unless if it's like Holland playing Northside High School and it's -110, -120, then I will. But especially in a parlay, I think the team total hits easily, but Kane's so hit or miss. He's either going to get a hat trick in the first half or he's going to have nothing, and Leonard Carl's going to have 3. So just be careful there, Steve. And then last question, somebody asked about Slavia Praha hosting Barcelona. I like goals in that game, but it's supposed to be -10 degrees in that game as well. So I don't really know how used to playing in -10 people from Barcelona are. It might take a bit to get started, so maybe bet on second half goals specifically there.
All right, I want to get to it now, Buckets. I know you have to go. Are you going to be on the show before you leave for Germany?
So I leave tomorrow. I will be on for BPE Friday in Munich. I'm going to find a nice pub to post up at and do the show there. And so I'll still be doing shows, just going to be different time zone. I got to figure that out too. What are they?
Yeah, go find the passport, or this is all for naught.
Oh, true. I'm going to go find the passport. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Buckets.
Thanks, Travel Buckets. We love you.
Love you.
Brasco, I know that we need to get to your picks. I do have a bit of an announcement. We announced it on the early wedge. And Taft, since you presented some golf plays, and I'm probably going to have a round matchup tomorrow on this show, but the one and done is back with $5,000 on the line, and it's courtesy of Splash Sports. So everybody should do this, even the non-golf fans, especially if you're already on Splash Sports. This could not be easier. It's such a fun thing to do. Every week you pick one golfer, and Splash Sports makes it so easy because they basically X out the golfers that you've already used. So we can talk more about how to do one and done. It's incredibly easy, even for the non-golf fan. And there's $5,000 on the line, including bragging rights. Splashsports.com/wedge. Again, splashsports.com/wedge is how you find it. Sign up. We actually don't start it until the Waste Management. That's Super Bowl week. So you have 2 weeks to sign up, but let's get as many people in there as possible. It's free, of course. Again, $5,000 up for grabs and a lot of bragging rights. It goes throughout the golf season. It's going to be really, really fun. So again, splashsports.com/wedge. All right, let's get to some UFC. I've got an NFL prop to give out, Danny, when you're done. And Proppy, I want to get your response to that as well, because I think it deserves a little bit more chat on that New England-Denver game. Danny, talk to me about UFC. We're finally on the doorstep of it.
Let's go, baby. We are back. UFC 324 is on Saturday, and I already gave a couple main card picks, I should say. I gave out Paddy Pimblett by submission at +160. That line is moving down. And I also gave out Sean O'Malley by decision at +130. That's down to +110. So I hope you guys were able to get those in. But we got more picks to give out, and hopefully my Friday recap screen is going to have a whole lot of selections. First off, let's start with a heavyweight banger also on the main card. It's Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis. And I think this one goes deep. I'm taking the over 1.5 rounds at -134. Really, both of these heavyweights are quite durable. I think a lot of people will think that Waldo is now a knockout artist. This guy was one of the most active fighters in 2025. This will be his 6th calendar fight of the year. And his last 2 fights ended very quickly. He got poked in the eye, the fight was stopped, and then he returned with a knockout blow over his second to last opponent. And in his last fight, he took a fight in Doha, Qatar on 2 days' notice, flew halfway across the world, and just walked down his opponent and slept him. However, 7 of 11 of Waldo's UFC fights have gone the distance. It's been the matchup, really, that's gotten him this knockout. And I think Lewis is more durable than people might realize. The times that he's been finished, he's been submitted a couple times. Waldo does not have jiu-jitsu skills like that. And when he gets knocked out, it's not necessarily just a clean shot that cracks his chin. It's more fatigue and accumulation of damage. Waldo, like I mentioned, really long schedule in 2025. I think he plays this one a little more safely, considering that Derek Lewis is the UFC's all-time knockout leader. 16 people he's put down. He can turn your lights off with one shot. Waldo relies a lot on his head movement, on his shoulder rolling, on his ability to parry shots and make them not land clean. That's a little bit dangerous against a hitter like Lewis. So I think he's going to play on the outside, use that snappy jab, and kind of try to win a safer decision, because if he gets another win, he might be one away from a title shot. Like maybe his next fight is a title eliminator. So look for Waldo to play smart. Look for Lewis to land that big blow. I'm taking the over 1.5. And I also think Waldo decision at plus 275 could be a good look. I saw Gipper say double chance method, Waldo decision, Lewis KO, plus 105. That's also a nice plus money way to play a double chance method of victory. But I like this one to go deep overall. The other fight I'm taking, this one's on the prelims, and I like Alexander Hernandez at minus 155. The market has zero respect for Alex Hernandez. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. 3 fights ago, he faced Chase Hooper. He opened plus 210, closed plus 300. He won the fight in upset fashion. Diego Ferreira fight, he opened the favorite, minus 150, closed the dog, plus 100, knocked him out. And this fight, he opened a minus 300 favorite. This line's down to minus 155. Obviously, the Sharps are liking Michael Johnson. Even at 39 years old, the veteran southpaw boxer Johnson still has good hand speed. He still has really good striking and boxing ability. But Hernandez is so much more athletic than him. I think he has a big speed, strength, youth, and just general athleticism advantage. He can get to the target quicker. He's got a big power differential as well. And even if Johnson is outstriking Hernandez in this fight, I think that he might realize there's a strength difference here. If he can get physical and start to grind away, mixing takedowns if it's not going his way, I think there's just way more paths to victory for Hernandez. A guy that's training at Factory X Muay Thai right now with Brandon Royval, Luis Garul, high-level training partners. He seems like he's in the athletic, peak of his career. And whereas Johnson, 39 years old, is kind of maybe 1 or 2 fights away from the end. So give me Hernandez to keep the win streak going. And there's 2 picks for UFC 324. See ya.
All right, we got a couple of picks for UFC 324. The countdown is on for that. I mean, we're going to have so much. Taft, you were talking about, 32, 33 straight weeks of golf. I mean, we've got however many straight weeks or this entire year filled with UFC on Paramount Plus. Taft, you said it in our private chat. Look behind the curtain. You said this chat doesn't miss. Goose is loose says Taft is the type of guy to pick up the tab and safely put me in my Uber to head home.
That is the nicest compliment I've ever received. I mean, I hope my mom is watching this, because that's exactly the type of man I think she wants me.
That's true. Propstarz,
my girlfriend, she'll be happy with that one too.
There we go. Propstarz. I've got a prop to give out, but there are some questions in the chat that are NFL prop related, maybe some NBA ones as well. Big Rody says, do you like Higbee over 15.5 receiving yards? And Big Rody says he also likes Kyron Williams over 69.5 rushing and receiving yards. Your thoughts, Proppy?
Higbee is a little high variance, just considering his role and usage in the offense. Just not enough of a target floor at that number. So personally, I'd stay away from that, even though it is a good matchup. Seattle has been very generous to opposing tight ends, just not running enough routes right now. As far as Kyron is concerned, I think that's a good spot for Kyron, who I do anticipate getting the lion's share of the touches. Definitely a low number. So I like the Kyron look.
I will say this about Sean McVay is you kind of never know when he's going to spring something on you. So as much as Kyron was getting all the work, and keep in mind there were not a lot of extended drives to the Rams last week. And I do think we could see a different type of game plan with a little bit more Blake Corum involved earlier than people expect. So for me, a guy that likes Kyron, that almost took Kyron last week in terms of his rushing yards over, I'd be really weary of the Kyron Blake Corum thing. In fact, on HQ yesterday, one of the plays I liked was Blake Corum over 7.5 rush attempts. And I think it's 8.5 in some places, but I liked him over 7.5 rush attempts, which actually leads to my prop. We're going to go back to that New England game. And probably I do want to get your opinion on Ramondre Stevenson as it relates to Trevion Henderson. Because what I like, and find this line at FanDuel, but other places like BetMGM and DK or what have you, have this carry prop for Ramondre Stevenson at 12.5, and it's like plus 105 even money. I actually don't mind that. but maybe I would wait to see if some of those books tick down to 11.5 here. I like Ramondre Stevenson over 11.5 carries, over 11.5 rush attempts at pretty juicy number, -138. I think it's pretty clear over the last few weeks. Now, if you look at the carries themselves and you're just box score chasing, it doesn't look super attractive to take a Ramondre carry over. With that said, if you look at the efficiency over the last few weeks, I mean, it's pretty clear that Ramondre Stevenson has been the far more efficient back than Trevion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson hit this prop last week, and Trevion ended up getting, I think it was 9 or 10 carries, maybe even as high as 12. Part of the reason for that, though, is Ramondre went out in the second quarter with an eye issue. And by halftime, we weren't even sure if Ramondre Stevenson was coming back in that game. So his carry percentage, his carry prop, or his rush attempts probably would have been a lot higher last week. And so I do think that's not really being weighed in here. I think Ramondre is the guy. You look at his efficiency over the last few weeks, really over the last 6-7 weeks, probably over Trevion. It's there. And you look at the game script for this game, both teams probably going to lean on their defense, probably going to play close to the vest. I don't see Denver having a lot of long sustained drives, which tells me that New England's probably going to have the time of possession, probably going to run more plays, and Ramondre is definitely going to be the lead back. I think he gets to 14 or 15 carries. So that's why I don't mind taking the over 12.5, but I'm willing to pay the juice on the over 11.5 at -138. Proppy, you don't have to endorse my pick, certainly, but any thoughts on the Ramondre Trevion split, or just the nature of this game and game script, Denver, New England?
I like this quite a bit. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson quietly is averaging just shy of 7 yards per carry over his last 6 games, dating back to the regular season. Always been a favorite of the coaching staff, despite the fumbling problems. Hasn't put a ball on the ground for a while now. So yeah, just in comparison to the rookie, definitely the experience edge comes to pass protection. I also think they like his route running ability more. So not surprised that he's playing more than Trevion Henderson. He's certainly been the more effective back as well. This game environment looks like it's one where New England's going to be highly balanced, 26 carries through 2 playoff games as well. So the usage, everything's pointing up for Ramondre Stevenson. I like this quite a bit, Sia.
Brasco, do you have any thoughts on this game in general? Broncos, Pats?
I don't really. I'm cracking up at the chat, Sia. Their Taft looks like is amazing. Dude, this is probably the best one I've ever read because it's not even complicated. It's not even like an obscure reference. Adam GH just says, Taft looks easy to draw. Why is that so funny to me? Like, you're just symmetrical, you know?
Did you read the one from Jeff Stenberg, and did you take any offense to it, Brasco?
No, I think that's accurate. He says Taft is the guy that will get his buddies in an Uber, and then Danny looks like the guy that would carjack that Uber. I'm not a carjacker. I'm more likely the guy that you would pretend is not a fifth that can't fit in the Uber, and then I would sneak into the trunk and ride with you guys.
Very interesting. All right. I think we got to most of the questions. We can probably wrap up the show. Let me ask you, Propstars. I think it's Keenan Jackson that says, how low would you take Giannis? Some places have Giannis at 27.5.
I take him there, Keenan, for sure. Yeah, I have a pretty significant edge here, but yeah, I take him at 27.5.
Grimmy Big Dude says ACA DK has a top finish profit boost. Yeah, I'll probably indulge in that. Those are the kind of the sprinkled parlays where I do some like a handful of top 40s and top 30s at a big 50-1 number. Those usually don't hit. Obviously, they're just kind of fun bets. I will say, speaking of fun bets, the first round leaders that I put out on the early wedge yesterday, there was only one book that had first round leaders available at the time of our show. Now most of the books have populated them, and I've found better numbers. So if you haven't bet those yet, I actually tweeted out the better numbers. They're not significantly better, but better enough where you want the new numbers. I tweeted that out early this morning. I'll put it in the SportsLine Discord as well. So if you're interested in taking the first round leader market, it's a little finicky this week because we have 3 different courses. So there's first round leaders for each course. So I have 3 sets of them, if you will, 7 total, I think. And what I'm trying to say is, if you haven't bet it yet and you want to bet it, get in the Sportsline Discord or just check out my Twitter because I put the updated numbers there. All right. I think, hand up if I missed anything, but I think we can probably get to, go ahead, Brasco.
While you get to the recap screen, I'm just curious. M2 is in the chat. He says, I wonder if me and Danny are aligned on UFC or we're going head to head. I know M2 is doing his UFC Sims. If you're still here, Mike, let me know what you've got. I would love to hear.
Oh yeah. Well, next time he's on the show, I mean, Ben, maybe you can tell me when if Mike's on. He's usually on Thursdays. Maybe he's on tomorrow. We can just pepper him with all the questions that we want, whether they're golf related, UFC related, NFL, and otherwise. Of course, you can catch Mike on CBS Sports HQ all over the place tonight, probably as well. Here's the recap screen. Ramondre Stevenson over 11.5 rush attempts at -138. Of course, that's a prop for Sunday. And Ben is confirming Mike McClure is on the early edge tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So make sure you are here. And hopefully, prior to getting here at 10 o'clock tomorrow, you've already registered for the splashsports.com/wedge contest. Marseille versus Liverpool. Marseille double chance -120. That one from Buckets. And Bayern versus USG over 3.5 goals plus over half a goal in the first half -130. We go to Danny Brasco. Cortez Acosta versus Lewis. Over 1.5 rounds, -134. And Alexander Hernandez, money line, -155. We go to golf with Taft Gantt. We've got some pretty long shots here. Ryan Gerard plus 6,500. Alex Norn plus 5,500. And we've got a parlay that implicates Scotty Scheffler, top 10, plus the Broncos plus 5.5. That one pays plus 180. We go to the NBA. DeMar DeRozan over 17.5 points, -115. And Giannis Antetokounmpo under 28.5 points at -118. Kenneth Walker under 114.5 rushing and receiving yards at -115. We'll talk about that more on the prop show on Friday at 3 o'clock, along with my Ramondre bet and more bets that'll be coming from me and Propstarz, along with Claudia and Uncle Dave. By the way, on that prop show, I've won 10 in a row. Literally haven't lost a prop in a month. Go check that out at 3 o'clock because Propstarz is on that show, more importantly. So, again, 3 o'clock, we'll still be going through the playoffs, through the Super Bowl. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for more looks like stuff for Taft. You'll just have to wait till next time Taft is on. Everybody, thanks for being in here. Very much appreciate it. Proppy, good stuff. Taft, Brasco, good stuff as usual. And Ben on the 1s and 2s and 6s and 7s. And, of course, Buckets on his way to Germany tomorrow. I can't wait to see what this looks like when he tries to do shows, quote, from a pub. I think it was Chris Kish in the chat that said the line on him maybe being able to pull that off is around plus 500. This chat is on fire as usual. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow on the Early Edge. We rest our case.